I said the words that would change everything on a Tuesday night in March. Marcus was reading his tablet in bed, blue light casting shadows across his face. We'd been married 16 years, and our conversations about fantasy had always stayed safely theoretical. What if I actually did it, I asked, with someone else? He looked up slowly. The tablet dimmed in his hands. For several seconds, only the hum of the heating system filled the space between us. "If you want it that badly," he said finally, "just tell me when." I studied his expression, searching for anger or hurt. Found neither. His voice carried something I couldn't identify. Not permission, not challenge, but something colder. "You're serious?" Marcus set the tablet aside. "I've been thinking about what you said last month, about wondering what it would be like." He turned toward me, his eyes unreadable. "If you need to know, then no." 3 days later, we stood in the lobby of the Marriott downtown. Marcus handed me the key card, his fingers steady. The plastic rectangle felt heavier than it should. "I'll give you space," he said. "The evening is yours." I watched him walk toward the bar, shoulders straight. No backward glance. The elevator carried me to the 7th floor, and I wondered if this was what crossing a line felt like. Not dramatic, just inevitable. Room 714 waited in silence. I placed the key card on the dresser next to our wedding photo, the one Marcus had insisted on bringing. In it, we looked impossibly young, impossibly certain. My phone buzzed. David from accounting. "Still want company tonight?" I typed back, "Room 714. The die was cast. I showered and changed into the black dress I'd brought. Not the one Marcus bought me for Christmas, but the one I'd purchased secretly last week. The mirror reflected someone I barely recognized, a woman on the edge of betrayal. David arrived at 8:30. When I opened the door, he smiled the way he had for months at the office, lingering conversations by the copy machine suddenly making sense. He wore cologne I didn't recognize. "You look beautiful, Claire." I stepped aside to let him enter. He moved carefully, like someone entering a church or a crime scene. The room felt smaller with him in it, charged with possibilities I'd only imagined. "Drink?" I gestured toward the minibar. "Sure." He accepted the wine, our fingers brushing. "Are you certain about this?" The question hung between us. I thought of Marcus downstairs, probably on his second scotch, reading the news on his phone. Was he thinking of me? Was he regretting his permission? "I think so," I said. David moved closer. "Your husband knows?" "He knows." We talked for an hour about everything except why we were there. Work gossip, weekend plans, the weather. Normal conversation in an abnormal situation. The wine disappeared. The distance between us shrank. "Claire," he said softly. I looked at him, this man who'd occupied my thoughts for months. Not love, but something else. Curiosity, maybe. The need to know what I'd been missing. "Yes?" He reached toward my face, fingers hovering near my cheek. "May I?" I nodded. His touch was gentle, tentative. Nothing like Marcus's confident familiarity. This was exploration, discovery. His thumb traced my jawline. "You're shaking," he whispered. I was. David's hand slipped into my hair, fingers tangling in the strands I'd carefully arranged. I closed my eyes, letting myself feel this different touch, this foreign tenderness. When I opened them, he was studying my face like he was memorizing it. The photograph on the dresser caught my eye. Marcus and me on our wedding day, frozen in eternal happiness. It seemed to watch us, a silent witness to my transgression. "Are you okay?" David asked. I wasn't sure. My heart hammered against my ribs, but whether from excitement or guilt, I couldn't tell. This was the moment, the actual crossing of the line I'd only imagined. "Kiss me," I whispered. He did. Soft at first, then deeper when I didn't pull away. His mouth tasted like wine and possibility, different from Marcus's kisses, which carried the weight of history. This was pure present tense. My hands found his chest, feeling the unfamiliar rhythm of his heartbeat. He pulled me closer, and I let him, drowning in the newness of it all. The wedding photos seemed to shimmer in my peripheral vision. We moved toward the bed, a slow dance of anticipation. David's hands were careful, asking permission with every touch. I gave it freely, hungrily. This was what I'd wondered about for months, the thrill of being desired by someone new, someone who didn't know all my flaws and habits. The lamp cast everything in golden light. David traced patterns on my skin, whispering things Marcus had never said. I arched into his touch, surrendering to sensation. What followed belongs in shadows, in the space between heartbeats. The camera turns away, leaving us to our choices and their consequences. Later, we lay tangled in hotel sheets, breathing hard in the aftermath. The photograph watched from its perch, Marcus's smile unchanged. David left at 11, kissing my forehead like a benediction. I listened to his footsteps fade down the hallway. Then silence settled over the room like dust. I sat on the bed's edge, still wearing his cologne on my skin. The key card lay where I'd dropped it on the nightstand, innocent plastic that had unlocked so much more than a door. My hand shook as I reached for my phone to text Marcus. Before I could type anything, the door opened. Marcus stood in the threshold, still dressed in his evening clothes. His face revealed nothing, no anger, no hurt, no surprise. Just a terrible blankness that made my stomach drop. "How long have you been back?" I asked. He didn't answer. Instead, he moved to the closet and pulled out his overnight bag. His movements were methodical, precise. Shirt folded, shoes placed carefully inside. I watched him pack like I was witnessing a ritual I didn't understand. "Marcus, we should talk." He paused, his back to me. "Should we?" "You said if I wanted it badly enough." "I did," he resumed packing. "And you did." I stood, wrapping the hotel robe around myself. "Then why are you angry?" "I'm not angry, Claire." His tone was worse than anger. It was indifference, the voice he used with telemarketers and door-to-door salespeople. Polite, distant, final. "Where are you going?" Marcus zipped the bag closed. He picked up his keys from the dresser, avoiding my eyes. The key card sat next to them, a reminder of permissions given and boundaries crossed. "Home," he said simply. "I'll come with you." "No." The word cut clean as a blade. "You won't?" He walked toward the door, each step echoing in the suddenly cavernous room. I wanted to run after him, to explain, to make him understand. But my feet stayed rooted to the carpet. At the threshold, he stopped without turning around. "I wanted to see if you'd dare," he said quietly. "You did." "I didn't." The door closed behind him with a soft click. I drove home at midnight through empty streets, Marcus's words echoing in my mind. The house was dark when I pulled into the driveway, his car already gone. Inside, the silence felt different, not peaceful but hollow. His coffee cup sat unwashed in the sink. His reading glasses lay folded on the kitchen counter. Small evidence of a life interrupted, a routine broken. I touched the glasses, remembering how he'd looked over them when I first spoke my dangerous wish. The bedroom felt too large without him. His pillow still held the indent of his head, and I pressed my face into it, breathing in his familiar scent. Beneath it lingered something else, the weight of what I'd done, what we'd both done. I called his cell. It went straight to voicemail. "Marcus, please, we need to talk about this. About what happened, about what you meant." I hung up and immediately called back. "I know you're angry, but running away won't solve anything. Come home, please." The third call, I didn't leave a message. Just listened to his recorded voice telling me he couldn't come to the phone right now, as if he were simply busy instead of gone. Sleep was impossible. I wandered the house like a ghost, touching objects that belonged to our shared life. His books on the nightstand, the coffee maker programmed for 2 cups every morning, the photograph from our anniversary dinner last year, both of us smiling at something off camera. Had he planned this? The thought crept in like cold air through a cracked window. The way he'd handed me that key card so easily, the strange calm in his voice. Had he wanted me to fail some test I didn't know I was taking? Dawn found me at the kitchen table staring at my phone. No messages, no missed calls, nothing. The silence stretched, heavy with unanswered questions. The message arrived on Thursday afternoon while I sat in my office, staring at spreadsheets that might as well have been hieroglyphics. My phone buzzed, and Marcus's name appeared on the screen. My heart hammered as I opened it. "I wanted to see if you'd dare. You did. I didn't. Goodbye." 16 words that dismantled 16 years of marriage. I read them over and over, searching for hidden meaning, for some crack in their finality. Found none. The message was Marcus distilled to his essence. Precise, economical, devastating. I called immediately. The number was disconnected. At home, I found more evidence of his methodical departure. His dresser drawers gaped empty. The photograph from our wedding day, the one that had witnessed my betrayal, was gone from the bedroom. He'd taken his books, his coffee mug, his reading glasses. Even his toothbrush had vanished from the bathroom counter. But he'd left things too. The anniversary photo still sat on the kitchen counter. Our joint credit cards lay in a neat stack beside it, cut precisely in half. His wedding ring rested on top, catching the afternoon light. I picked up the ring, feeling its familiar weight. Inside the band, our wedding date was engraved along with words I'd forgotten. Always faithful. The irony cut deep. That evening, I drove to his office building. The security guard told me Marcus had submitted his resignation that morning, effective immediately. No forwarding address. He seemed in a hurry, the guard added. Said he had somewhere important to be. I sat in the parking lot afterward, engine running, trying to understand. Had this always been his plan? Give me enough rope to hang myself, then disappear when I used it? The cruelest part was his precision. He'd orchestrated everything, the hotel room, the permission, the key card, then punished me for accepting what he'd offered. Or maybe that was exactly the point. 3 weeks passed. I hired a private investigator who found nothing. Marcus had vanished as completely as if he'd never existed, taking only what he could carry and leaving behind a life we'd built together. The house felt like a mausoleum. I moved through rooms filled with ghosts, his empty chair at the breakfast table, the space where his books had been, the silence where his laughter used to live. Friends called with sympathy and questions I couldn't answer. What happened, they asked. How could I explain? That I'd wanted something more, something different, and he'd given me permission to destroy us both. That his final message had revealed a cruelty I'd never suspected, a willingness to orchestrate our ending rather than fight for our beginning. David from accounting sent flowers with a note. I hope I didn't cause problems. I threw them away unopened. The message on my phone became a talisman of sorts. I read it obsessively, parsing each word for clues. I wanted to see if you'd dare. You did. I didn't. Goodbye. What hadn't he dared? To forgive me? To fight for us? To admit he'd wanted this ending all along? On a rainy Tuesday in April, I found myself in the hotel lobby where it all began. Room 714 was occupied by strangers now, their laughter drifting down the hallway. I stood outside the door, remembering the weight of the keycard in my hand, the moment I'd chosen desire over devotion. But Marcus had chosen something too. He'd chosen to test rather than trust, to orchestrate rather than communicate. We'd both betrayed each other in different ways. I deleted his message that afternoon. Not forgiveness, but release. Some prices are too high to pay forever. Some tests too cruel to justify. The house still echoes with his absence, but I'm learning to live with the sound. Love, I've discovered, isn't always about staying together. Sometimes it's about understanding why you had to part. The wedding ring sits in my jewelry box now next to earrings he bought me for Christmas. Artifacts of a marriage that ended not with infidelity, but with the revelation of who we really were when tested. I kept the anniversary photo,